And welcome back, All Sports Western New York. My guest in studio from the Buffalo News, Amy Moritz, who does a great job covering the Bisons. She does some other things with college hockey, which we're going to talk about a little later. Amy, the Buffalo Bisons got off to a good start. Their parent team, this Toronto Blue Jays, are in first place and becoming the club that they thought they were going to be last year. So why are the Bisons now struggling?
Because Toronto has most of their good players right now. They took some of the pitching, most notably Marcus Stroman, into the lineup and got his first start, major league start. He had been in the major leagues as a reliever, but got his first start, and he was lightning for the Buffalo Bisons. The Bisons have also run into some pitching injuries, so some problems there. And again, Toronto took some really good hitters out of the Bisons lineup, most notably Kevin Pillar. So right now it's kind of an offensive slump for the Bisons, and then now you throw in some pitching injuries, which makes it a little more complicated for them to try and win. But when Toronto's winning, that sort of makes it a little easier to take down at Buffalo.
Well, do you think some of these guys will come back to the AAA team?
I think some of them will, possibly, but it also is, you always hear them talk about a great opportunity for some of the younger guys to come up. And they just, Brad Glenn is on the DL. They're hoping to get him back by the weekend, which will be good. And he's someone who came up from AA New Hampshire and has hit in every start that he's had for the Bisons. So, he'll be back. He'll be back hopefully by the weekend. And there's some other guys who are pretty good. They're just in some slumps right now. Ryan Goins is pretty decent. He needs to get his timing back at the plate, but they'll get some back. I think that you're not going to have a whole lot of guys come back down. Some pitchers you'll have come back down. They just sent Liam Hendricks back and Bobby Korecki, the closer, back. So that will certainly help the Bisons in the next coming games. I
mean, this is the perils of being a AAA baseball team. I mean, you're at the whim of the parent club and how they go. Often, if there's injuries, they're going to take your best players. And I was there about a month ago at the stadium. We were there for a meeting in the afternoon. We were leaving, and I couldn't tell you who the player was at this point, but somebody had just come down. And they were getting out of that black car, at the back door, and they're taking out his suitcases. You could just tell he was not happy to be there. Because it's, when you come down, whether it's a demotion or whether it's for an injury rehab or whatever it is, normally the minors is not where you want to be. But Buffalo's a little bit different situation. I think the players that are here have experienced, it's not necessarily like being out in the farm fields. You're in a city, you're in a decent ball club, and with a great organization.
Certainly, and one of the things that players have always talked about is how well they're treated in Buffalo. No matter who the parent club is, everyone always talks very highly about the Bisons organization. So that's something that makes it easier when you're coming back down. And certainly everybody's goal is to get to the show. That's what and to stay up there. That's what everybody wants to do. But I think that even more so with the affiliation with the Blue Jays, the players understand that winning at the AAA level is going to roll into getting a job and winning at the major league level. Toronto wants to win in Buffalo.
Right.
They're not just rating it for the sake of rating it. They want to win in Buffalo, and they understand that if those players learn how to win in Buffalo, that's going to transfer to being able to win in the major leagues.
Well, I'm a lot older than you, and I've been at every news conference where they announce a new affiliation, and at every one of those news conferences, the parent club swears they're going to keep players in Buffalo for Buffalo to win. But once the season starts and once the dog days of summer begin to hit and the injuries, invariably they have to take those players, no matter how many they want to keep in town to win, because that's their bread and butter. But I love the fact that Buffalo and Toronto are so close together. At least for these players, you literally take an hour and a half drive and you're in the other city. You're not taking a flight 4 hours across the country somewhere, and you're like I said, you're in Farmville. But there's a big night coming up on the 7th.
Yes.
Star Wars night.
Star Wars night is one of the biggest nights at the ballpark.
Yeah, it's like I was listening this week on the radio. I mean, everybody's talking about it. There'll be plenty of Star Wars geeks. In fact, Mark Ewart Jr., who's working our camera crew right now, I know he's got his Chewbacca costume all picked out. But there were some photos that we took from the night. Have you experienced a Star Wars night yet?
As a reporter, yes. I haven't been in the stands, but I've been there as a reporter, and it is a lot of fun. It really, there's so much energy in the stadium because there's a good mix of of adults who love the old Star Wars movies and kids who love the Star Wars movies. And so you've got lightsabers going, you've got all this show going on, and usually you have a pretty entertaining baseball game too. Last year was a lot of fun because Jose Reyes was down on rehab. So you have Jose Reyes wearing the Star Wars jersey, which was always kind of interesting. And
it's my understanding they do a whole production where in between innings you see an actual movie played out of sorts with the characters, actually doing a Star Wars story.
There's a Star Wars themed story that goes from the start to the end, and it ends with a final scene. Usually it's a battle scene of some sort on the field at the end of the game. And then, of course, there's always fireworks. But yes, throughout the entire game, through the different innings, there's on the big board, they'll be having a storyline plays out. And I don't know what it is, but it's always interesting to watch and see.
Now, do you find that some of your geekier friends from the Buffalo News ask if they could come and cover the game with you on that night?
They usually want to kind of be in the stands. So they kind of hide their geekiness a little bit and kind of go with everybody else, but yeah.
Well, in the earlier Jim Kelly golf outing, we saw Jim McCoy, photographer Jim McCoy. Mm-hmm. I know he's a huge Star Wars fan, and he's going to be wearing his Luke Skywalker outfit. So see if you can pick him out in the stands.
I'll see if I can Instagram that, because that would be excellent.
Oh, I would love to see that. Yeah. I would love to see that. We're going to be back with Amy. We're going to talk college hockey right after this on All Sports Western New York.